Everything about the Knicks yesterday bothered me. I mean, everything, top to bottom. Starting with the fact that they won. Seriously. And arguably their best win of the season at home against the San Antonio Spurs. Why did it bother me as a Knicks fan? Because this sadly reinforced my entire take on this Knicks season being a waste. My goodness. They didn't have to be this bad. I'll always believe that. You know, when I said they'd be a 6-seed preseason, you guys didn't tweet me. Nobody called me out on it. That was obtainable. And then Phil Jackson derailed it, starting with the interview he did right here on CBS Sports Network on We Need to Talk, bashing Carmelo Anthony. That's when the nonsense started. And it never made any sense, and it was wrong. And again, yesterday was another example, by the way, of Carmelo Anthony getting it and being dominant when it mattered the most. You know, the Knicks are on pace to win 45 games when Phil made those comments on CBS Sports Network. That was my projected win total for them in the preseason. As a Knicks fan, this is all insane and a bad dream. And if Phil Jackson could have just left Melo alone, who knows? You know, Melo was great yesterday in the Knicks. Stopped the presses. Actually played defense. What a concept. But then again, the Knicks defensive specialist, quote unquote, is Kurt Rambis, who failed as a Knicks head coach. And Phil Jackson forced him as an assistant on Jeff Hornacek. You can't make this up. And Melo, after the game, has to talk about whether or not this was his last game at home as a Knick, with road games coming up, and the All-Star break, and the trade deadline. It's all so sad. Phil Jackson should be fired before he trades Carmelo Anthony. We should not be having this discussion. Everything Phil has touched, other than Porzingis, has been wrong. On Friday, we vented about the reminder that the Knicks, under James Dolan, are the worst. He banned Charles Oakley from the Garden Arena, where they should retire his jersey and hang it from the rafters. And then the optic on Sunday, Dolan sitting next to Latrell Sprewell. Oh, sickening. And understand, Sprewell was a great Knick, a winning Knick. I loved him as a Knick after his issues when he was a Golden State Warrior, his issues with PJ Carlissimo. But remember, this is Latrell Sprewell, who hated Dolan after he got rid of him. And years ago, he cursed him out after a dunk when he was with Minnesota. Hasn't been back to the Garden since, and then poof, out of nowhere, magically, there's Sprewell appearing courtside in between clueless Dolan and Larry Johnson. Dolan's way of saying, see, I have great relationships with my former players. Please, spare me. Pathetic, horrible, and another reminder of what was and what is, what always will be, with Jim Dolan running this team into the ground.